o'clock, everybody. We're going to go ahead and start the webinar. For those of you here live, welcome. For those of you who are going to watch this pre-recording who couldn't make it, welcome. So let me go ahead and jump into a little bit about who I am and what organization I'm with. It'll be very quick, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of this. So my name is Rahul Manohar. I'm the founder of a company called True North Alliances. And True North Alliances was just acquired less than 3 months ago by WorkSource. So I'm now the CMO of a company called WorkSource. So Chris sent you all an email about True North. We literally sold True North a couple months ago. What we do is we work with real estate professionals with REO, pre-foreclosure, as well as a virtual assistant system for all of that, right? So a little bit about my background. I started in commercial real estate at 18. I went to law school at Stanford. My commercial real estate practice allowed me to graduate Stanford Law with zero debt, which I'm very grateful for. And then I went back into the world of entrepreneurship and commercial real estate, and I never left. So I'll speak to something really quickly that I know is on the top of many of your minds, which is this. The Sitzer-Burnett trial and Sitzer-Burnett case and how does that play into pre-foreclosures and why is it so important? So here's my take as an attorney who has stood in front of the IRS and battled the IRS in federal court. Yes, it's scary and it could mean some scary things for real estate, but there's a lot of fear mongers out there who are saying buyer's agents are dead. This is the end of realtors. The industry's screwed and we all need to leave. None of that's true. None of that's true. Change happens in the world, and this is just a change. But if you are good at what you do, you will have a job and you'll continue to be successful, right? That's really all it means. It means we have to now deal with a new change. But the benefit of our program and other programs that are focused on listings is that's not what's under attack here, okay? So that's my take on Sitzer-Burnett. I almost didn't even blink. I'm still shocked at the amount of fear mongering that's going on online, but that's what people do to sell stuff. So it is what it is. It's not something that we have to deal with as professionals. Does that make sense to everybody? Everything I just said so far? Crickets. Agree. Okay, great. Yes. Okay, good. And so what you're not going to get from me today is any fear mongering. Is everyone cool with that? No fear mongering. No, you have to do this. And if you don't, you're done and you're screwed. You're not going to get any of that from me. All right. So what you are going to get from me is we have a system that will help you generate 3 to 5 listings, pre-foreclosure listings per month. There's some keys and pieces of this system that are very important. The first key to this system is, by the way, that's Ojos. The name of my cat's Ojos because he's cross-eyed. So the first key to the system is, does everybody on this call know investors who, if you found a good deal that an investor wanted, you could go to that investor and that investor could buy that good deal? Does everyone know at least 1 or 2 investors? Everyone on this call. So let me get some yeses to that. Then I'll happily move forward. But I want this to work for you. Thomas does. Bharati, welcome. Giles does. Taika does. TC does. Amy does. O'Nelly does. Tom does. Carolyn does, Jaiwad does, Christian does, Charles does. Okay, great. So a lot of you do. Okay, great. That's whoever just said 6 to 8. That's great. Roger just said 6 to 8. Awesome. Second question. Who of you in your existing markets, and I know there's people here from all over the country, who of you have seen a rise in pre-foreclosures or foreclosures? One, so answer that question. And then the second follow-up question is, do you know some of the reasons why? And these are very important to understand before we kind of jump into the meat of this. So have you seen a rise in pre-foreclosures? You have, okay. And can some of you give me the reasons why you believe that's the case? Haven't looked, haven't noticed. Pre-foreclosures are going up. They are going up. Yes. Yes. Giles, you'd actually be surprised. In the San Francisco Bay Area, we're going to see them not this month, but the next 2 or 3 months. We're going to see some changes. Can't afford their homes. Yeah. Higher interest rates. That's one of them. Yep. Yes, due to the economy. Yeah. Okay. So the answers are good. It is due to the economy, but there's another factor that's at play here. So you all remember that the federal government during the pandemic era created this forbearance period where you didn't have to pay your mortgage. Does everybody remember that? Buyers pay too much for a house, and there's no that. Tracy, all these are answers. Very good answers. Very true. Tracy just made a very good answer. Not making decisions or money. That's exactly. So does everyone remember that forbearance period where the federal government went in and said, don't have to pay your mortgage? Yes. Okay, great. Now, what's happening is there were some states like Florida, Texas that said, we don't agree with this, but we have to follow federal law. So they did. The federal government has lifted those bans, right? Well, now what's happening is all those people in the states like Florida, Texas, Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama, who didn't institute their own state rules, all that money is due and they have to pay it right now. The problem is many of those people believed that it would go back into the original mortgage and it would be an extra $30 a month and the mortgage would be extended. By the way, in no contract did it ever say that. People just made these. So one of the things that's happening is that people are having to pay a lump sum of all that money right now, right? So that's one thing that's happening. The other thing that's happening is those of you who said not in Silicon Valley. I lived in Palo Alto, Los Gatos. If you're familiar with Silicon Valley, you know those cities for many, many, many a year. I sounded very old there for a long time. All right. California, New York had their own state jurisdictions, state law that said, no, you have to push this period out. The California state law will be, it comes due here in about 3 to 4 months. And then you're going to have, it's in the tens of thousands of people who are going to now owe their mortgages, right? And the reason for that is California was sued by the mortgage industry and they lost or they settled, which means, okay, we'll drop the ban. All right. So that is one of the biggest factors that's driving it. The second big factor that's driving it is the economy is in trouble. The U.S. economy is in trouble. The economy goes through ups and it goes through downs. It's going through a down. Okay. The debt ceiling is at an all-time high. So there's just some very serious economic factors, and we're starting to seeing layoffs again. When you see all of these things culminate, you see pre-foreclosures, right? And for those of you who were around in 2008, who was around in 2008? Can you drop I was around, or I remember, or I was 15, but I remember it? Can you drop that in the chat? Jeremy remembers, Roger remembers, Moriana remembers, Bola remembers. You were around in 2008. I remember. I was there. I survived. Michael, that's a very good statement. I survived. I did a ton of short sales. I'm sure you did a ton of short sales, Roger, in 2008. Okay, so for all of you, I'm sorry to hear that, Matt. Matt just said, yes, I owned a mortgage company. Oh, I'm sorry. That sounds like you probably went out of business in that company, which based on that, sounds like you did. So, and to Jennifer's point, it was a time of massive opportunity. That's right. For the people who were prepared for the opportunity. So now is a time for a massive opportunity. Okay. So, so for those of you who are in, like markets like Santa Clara County, which isn't the rest of the country. Why? Because Santa Clara has the largest tech industry in the world. Right? Santa Clara is this kind of anomaly cut out for the rest of the world, but it will still be impacted to some level. The rest of the country will be impacted to a much greater level. All right. So sold a bunch of HUD properties. Claudia said I was there. Okay, great. What is important to note about 2008 is we are going to see very similar things to 2008 today because of some of those factors. If you know that, you can prepare for it. All right, so that being said, yes, the annual interest on U.S. debt now exceeds $1 trillion annually. That is a bad sign for the U.S. economy. All right, so what do we do about it? How do we prepare? What we have done is we have developed a system. Before I jump into the system, can everyone agree that pre-foreclosures are up? There's reasons, very legitimate reasons why. Maybe not in 2 counties in the country, but they're up. We all understand why, and it makes sense to take advantage of the opportunity now. Can we all agree to that? Is that a fair assessment? Yes. Okay, cool. Audrey, I just sold my condo in the Embarcadero. Well, not just, about a year ago. So I'm familiar with San Francisco. Yes. Okay, great. Awesome. Right. Camila was an emphatic yes. Alexandra was a yes. Dorothy was a yes. Ginny was a yes. Great. Awesome. So let me jump into this and we'll start talking about how our system works, what we do, and how you can take advantage of it. So how does our system work, and what is it exactly that we do? So let me go ahead and share my screen with you. What we do, though, as I'm pulling this account up, is we target. Now, before I jump, or while I'm showing you this, I want to say some things that are very important. We buy a list of all pre-foreclosures in your territory or in a territory, right? So the way we work as a company is we are territory based. So I know Santa Clara County, so I'm just going to speak to Santa Clara County, but suppose there's 5 agents on this call who say, well, I want to own Santa Clara County. I want to be in Santa Clara County. I would say, well, that's great, but we only sell to 1 agent in Santa Clara County. So if we have someone in Santa Clara County, I'm sorry, we can't sell to you. Why? Because you won't get 3 to 5 listings if we put 2 or 3 or 5 people in a county or in a city. If it's a big city, then we sell the city. If it's a small city, we sell the county. All right. So the way we work is and then I'll show you this so you can actually see the numbers and see kind of how it all works. But what we do is we get this list of pre-foreclosures, right? We then send them messaging, and I'll show everybody the messaging, and I will give you all the messaging. You just have to book a time with me, and I will give you the exact messaging that you use. You don't have to pay us. You can book a time with me and get the messaging that we use. All right. So, but what we do is we send them messaging. These are people that are pre-foreclosures. All right. Taika, am I pronouncing your name right? God, I feel like I'm butchering your name. But Taika, it's a flat $700 a month. It's month to month. There's no long-term contracts. Okay. However, we don't sell to anybody and everybody. There's some qualifications. So if you're interested in that, just book a time with me. We can talk about it. But we're a little bit choosy about who we will work with. We want to make sure you're going to be successful. So maybe we're a rare marketing company that everybody can't buy, but that's just how we are, right? I sold my first 2 companies first one to Google, second one I sold to a asset management company, and I did it by making sure that my clients were successful, right? So notice default, those homeowners are getting more. They owe, some even jump fixers. Yep. So no sound. Can everybody hear me? Is it Margaret's computer? I think everybody can hear me, unless people stop being able to hear me. Okay, great. So Margaret, I think it's your computer. So can someone type to Margaret that it's her computer, please? Okay, so we have this list of pre-foreclosures in your zip code or your territory, okay? We then send them messaging saying, and I'll share with you the messaging, and then I'll show you the results of that messaging. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And here we go, share. And then let me present. All right, so can everybody see this? I know it's small, so I'll just read that first one to you. And again, book a time with me. And thanks, Thomas, for saying that. Carolyn, thanks for letting Margaret know it's her computer. All right, so this is the first. By the way, if you're going to do this on your own and not work with us or another company, make sure you are DP2 compliant. Has everyone heard of DP2 compliance? It's something new. By the way, there's the link to book a time with me at the very top. Book a time with me in Calendly. You can go ahead and click that link and you can book a time. All right. So Has everybody heard of DP2 compliance? Does everyone know what DP2 compliant is? No. Okay, I'm going to mention this because it's important. If you do this on your own, make sure you go get your phone DP2 compliant. Okay, good. Jari, I'm really glad you did that. DP2 compliance is a new, very important form of compliance required by the Federal both the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, and the Federal Communication Council. Okay, the FCC and the FCC require DP2 compliance. If you are a real estate professional, you are regarded as a business. And if you are doing any kind of text messaging and you are not DP2 compliant, if they wanted to, they could come after your license. Okay, hear me, and I'm being very serious. I'm not trying to fearmonger here. This is what the FCC and the FTC have stated. If any licensed professional does not get DP2 compliant and starts to do marketing outreach without being DP2 compliant, they have very serious fines and penalties and a variety of other things. So just go get DP2 compliant, okay? And you can Google it. Don't have to pay a service for it. It can be free just to get DP2 compliant. Okay, so can everyone say, yes, I will get DP2 compliant if you're not DP2 compliant? Please. All right, I'm going to assume that everyone is going to go get DP2 compliant. Yes, everyone said they will get DP2 compliant. Okay, good, excellent. This is great. Now, let's go through this. I will thank you. Onelli, Thomas, thank you. Kathleen, yes, thank you. Okay, so this is what we do. We are DP2 compliant. We're also a marketing company. We're also a non-licensed marketing company. So as a non-licensed marketing company, we can send out messaging. How to get DP2 compliant? Just Google it. Okay, yes. Okay, so just Google it, and that's where, by the way, email me afterwards and I can send you the information, okay? So let's talk about the messaging that we do, okay? This is the messaging that we do. We send out a message to all pre-foreclosures, and then I'll show you the results, and then we'll wrap it up and leave space for questions. We send out a message to all pre-foreclosures, and this is what the first message says. Hi, this is the owner of the address. Are you open to selling your home for cash in the next 6 months? Reply stop to opt out. Now, here's what's very important. I've heard this from many of our real estate clients, but these people are in pre-foreclosure. Why are we saying 6 months? Why aren't we saying right now, right? To your right, yes, this does apply to your marketing. So why are we saying 6 months and why are we not saying right now? Can anyone answer that? No, I'll give you a second and I'll answer it for you. So the reason, some of you are like, I can't type that fast, Rahul. All right, so the reason we say 6 months is for those of you who've worked with REOs and pre-foreclosures, you understand this. You understand that people are scared, right? They've been digging their head. Exactly, Carolyn. One, it's a process. It's a very good answer. The other reason is it's all psychology. It's fear. People are scared, right? They're being bombarded by investors saying you have to sell your home to us right now. You're screwed. The bank's going to take you. First of all, don't ever be that guy. Don't ever be that woman that threatens people or scares people. That's nasty, right? The reason the REO industry has a nasty reputation is because people can be mean. Don't be mean. These people are in very bad situations. They're potentially going to lose their homes. Try to be as kind and open-minded and caring as you can. Okay, please. We like working with kind clients. If I have a sales call, and you can ask my team, I've had sales call with realtors that we're only interested in taking people's homes and making money. We just didn't bring them on as clients. All right, so try not to be that person. Okay. So we give them 6 months because we want them to know that they have time. All right. They're not going to lose their home in 12 hours. 1 and 2, they feel it. If there's no response, we have a cadence. So we go down this road. There's no response. We go down this road. We ask that question again. If there's no response again, we ask that question again, but we leave it more time. Okay, then we don't do anything. Okay. If they do respond, this is what we say, what True North Alliances says. We are a company, represents cash buyers, and we have a buyer who's interested in your property. Would you be interested in speaking with us? Why do we not say we are realtors? Does anyone know why we do not say we're realtors? Yeah, look in yet. You hit the nail on the head. The reason we don't say we're realtors is because they are in a position where they need to sell their home and they need cash. And we've been doing this for years, and we found what works the best. That's why I asked you, do you have investors? You have to have investors for this to work. You have to know investors. If you don't know investors, this won't work. You actually want to have one or two investors that you can present this property to, right? If they respond to that, we say, thanks for your interest. We will give you a call, or you can call us. And here's our number to call us. Is there a particular time that works for you? All right. It's that simple. All right. If they say, no, I'm not interested, we say, we apologize. I'm sorry I bothered you. Our buyers are very interested. If you change your mind, please don't hesitate to call. Okay. Then let me go to the next slide. Let me figure out why this won't go to the next slide. Okay, here's the next slide. Now, this is a follow-up email cadence. We do skip tracing on all these folks. So we have their email address, we have their phone numbers. Okay. We have a follow-up email cadence. If they don't respond, they go through this email cadence. All right. They just start going through this email cadence. All right. And then there's an email and another follow-up text. And this is what the follow-up text says. In a 5-minute phone call, we can tell you how to sell your home today. Do you want to talk to us? Right. So we've now done the 6 months and we've got no response. So we're sending additional messaging. Do you want to talk to us? Even as the real estate market collapses, will we get this PDF? If you book a time with me, Tim, you'll get the PDF. I'm not sending this out to the world. You got to book a time with me. And so that my calendar link is up there at the top. Feel free to book a time with me. Do I use another script if I'm the investor? Alan, you do not. Use the same script. And Alan brings up a very good point. Alan just asked a question. I want to answer Alan's question. Alan just said, do I use another script if I'm the investor? No. You use the same script if you're in the investor. Why? Why is that? This script works for investors and realtors. Here's how it works. And this is why you need to have an investor on board. Is you're going to present all of these offers to your investor partner. Okay. How many of you who have been in this business know what the percentage is that the person, the homeowner, will actually take the deal of the investor? What percentage is it? So what percentage of people who are pre-foreclosure will actually go with an investor as opposed to listing with an agent? And the number is going to surprise you. %. It's close to that. You'd be surprised, Tony. 10%. Tony's actually, yeah. Margaret just hit the nail on the head. Margaret just hit the nail on the head. So what Margaret said is very low, and then you can get them to list. That is why this works so freaking well. Because the percentage, by the way, it's about 8 to 9%. It's under 10 over 2. So 8 to 9% of the people who you present to your investor are going to buy, the investor is going to buy, or they're going to be willing to sell. Because most investors, and you can talk to Alan, he's an investor, most investors want 30 to 40% of the value of their house. Why? Because that's how they make their money. They make a lot of money. They're real estate investors. Most homeowners don't want to give their house up at a 40% haircut. So they'll just list with you instead. And Margaret hit the nail on the head. The reason this works so well is you will either take the deal to your investor and get some kind of whatever you have set up with your investor, you'll get a kickback there, or not a kickback, a commission there, or you'll list the property. That's why this works so well. All right. Then what we do is we have a voice drop cadence that's set up. We do a voice drop. Then we have another follow-up email. Then we have another follow-up message. Then we have another follow-up email. And then it ends, right? And so what we have found is, and this is kind of the message template and the cadence, right? You can try to screenshot and copy this really quick if you want, or you can just book a time with me and we can talk about your territory and how this works. All right, so I'm going to, by the way, does this cadence make sense and why we do it this way? And the reason, if you notice, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps. This is 8 steps, right? Over the course of about 2 months, no more than 2 months. Do you know why we do 8 steps over the course of 2 months? You do? Is that a mic? Yes, I do know why you guys do that, or that's a yes to another one of the many questions I've been spitfiring at you. Yes, Carmen just said top of mind. You're spot on, Carmen. Top of mind. The other reason is, Carmen, is law of art averages, multiple touches. It takes at least to gain trust and interest. That's right. The other reason, and I know this is probably not a good reason, but it's a great reason at the same time, is because it works. It's because it works. All right, that's why we do it the way we do it, is because it works. All right, so let me show you, let me go ahead and share my screen again and now show you our system. This is a CRM that you will get. This is your CRM when you work with us, if you decide to work with us. If not, which is fine, you can do this in your own CRM. You don't. This isn't a requirement for this to be successful. It just is successful the way we do it. But again, you can do this very manually on your own. The thing that I would, you can tell this is a live webinar because, and I'm not a fan of having. A lot of people like to have PowerPoint presentation set up. I've just never done that, and I don't really care to do that. So okay, so let me share my screen with you. All right. I know it's not sharing quite yet, everybody. So if you're thinking I don't really know what he's seeing, don't worry, I'm not sharing it yet either. All right, here we go. Window. Share. Okay, so the way this works is, now we have a client who's been with us for a very, very long time. So we've dumped like 48,000 contacts, pre-foreclosure contacts. By the way, for those of you who have said, well, Silicon Valley, this is all Silicon Valley. Okay, this is all Silicon Valley. The only thing we're dealing with here is Silicon Valley. This isn't the middle of nowhere. These are people who are in pre-foreclosure who are in Silicon Valley. Okay. So, anyways, the way that it works is we dump this list, DP2, Thomas. We take this list, we dump it into our systems, right? So we take the list and then we dump it into our systems. Once we take that list and we get, I have the same CRM. Yes, you probably do. A lot of people do have this CRM, right? We build on top of, we build all of our tools and all of our systems on top of something very similar to HubSpot called High Level, right? So it's a very good customizable CRM to have. All right, so we first take the list, we dump the list into our systems, okay? Then hold on, I have to, my team's like, let me show you this. We then, share screen. All right. So we then, now this is what's very important for all of you to know. And this is why I sent out a follow-up question. Monique, there will be a recording. That's a good question. There will be a recording of this. I don't know if any of you got it. Many of you should got it, where we sent out a follow-up email for those of you who registered saying, do you have, for several different, I love, it is phenomenal. We love it also. All right. So, so we asked a question. Do you have the bandwidth legitimately to handle 3 to 5 listings a month? Right? Because the truth is that's what you're going to get. If you work with us, you're going to get 3 to 5 listings a month. So the question is, and when I say that, do you have the bandwidth? It takes a level of infrastructure. It takes a level of coaching. It takes a level of managing your schedule. Okay. And this is why I asked the question. I know many times companies will ask the question, but this is why I asked the question. And this isn't all of their leads, right? And ignore these numbers. They're now starting to use the system and adding money, dollar values to each one of these. They kind of kept most of these blank. It depends on how you want to use it. They use it one way, right? But they, and what we target specifically for them are trust-held properties, all right? Trust-held properties that are having problems. So you'll notice a lot of these numbers are not 408 or 831, or for those of 925, right? There are numbers out there. But for this is what we do for them. So imagine now you got 51 incoming calls. 51 people called you from that text message they sent out and said, can you explain to me how this works? Do you have the bandwidth to handle 51 incoming calls? They have to have 2 salespeople, all right? Now, what happens is these calls, many of these calls the 51 that came in, they came in off hours. They came in when, right? So then now these are separate. So they had 51 coming calls, and then separate from that, they had 9 conversations with homeowners. Then of the 9, then another group, Roger, if you work with us, we do 100% of it. All you do, if you're working with us, is you field the phone calls. That's it. You field the phone calls and you talk to the homeowners. You don't have to do any of this back end. We do it for you. I would suggest you have a fully functioning CRM that allows you to do marketing, allows you to do automation. It allows you to do really kind of whatever you want. So many of our clients will use our CRM to manage all their social media. Right? So you don't have to. You can use the full capability and functions of the CRM if you want to. You don't have to, but you can. I would suggest you do, and we'll help you do it if you want to do it. And there's no additional costs. Right? Okay. So currently in their buckets of conversations with the homeowners, there's currently 9 conversations with homeowners going on. Now there's currently 12 interested parties, right? Now, here's what's very important to know. They're either interested in working with an investor or they're interested in listing their property. That's what interested means. Now, we can build this for you, but I would suggest you follow our system because our system works. They currently have 9 listing agreements signed. So these are people that 4 times in a row. Okay, so for those of you who try to book a time and it says time no longer available, just email me at workspace.com. All right, and we'll get you in. All right, so if you're having trouble booking into my calendar, just email me at rmanohar@worksourceco.com, and I'll find a time that works for you and works for me. All right. These are they've had 22 closed deals, all right? Went through escrow if it was a listing, or if it went to an investor, it was bought for cash. And then the realtor, had an agreement with. We get our list from Arch Agent. It's the best data I've found by far that's reasonable, okay? So, and then currently there's 12 people that are not interested who have said, we're absolutely not interested. The people that never responded go back into a follow-up cadence. All right. Roger, I just posted my email. It's if you look in the chat, I'll post it, or somebody on my team post it for me. All right. So it's posted there again. All right. So does this make sense to everybody? Like how this works? What I'm showing you on the screen, does it make sense how this works? You got it? Okay. Roger got it. Great. Yes. Yes. Jeremy, absolutely. Thomas, yes. Everyone, okay, makes sense how this works, of course. Awesome. Well, some said, of course, if my wife tells me I'm not clear all the time. So if I was clear with you, someone should tell my wife that I was clear here. Those of you who are married understand. Claudia said it's too small to read. Yeah, Claudia, I don't, I've sold technology companies. I don't know how to use technology. So those of you who are curious about, will there be a replay? Yes, there will be a replay. Those of you who are curious about, we broke your calendar. Ken, I'm glad you broke my calendar. That's awesome. So yes, there will be a replay. Those of you who are curious said it's too small to read. These names don't necessarily mean much. I mean, they're not in your yes, and my wife says yes. Thomas. All right, so go ahead and book a time with me, and if you can't book a time with me, email me and we'll file today. Immediately when I get off this call, I will go ahead and book a time with you. So now let's just talk a little bit about how do you do this on your own. Okay, like you don't want to pay the $700 a month. You don't want to be the exclusive owner of your territory. Okay, that's fine. How do you do this on your own? What do you do to do this on your own? All right. So the way that you do this on your own is, and then I'll be done, is you go, you book a time with me, you get this messaging that I just gave you, that I showed you, or you email me and I send you a time that works and we work it out. And then I will talk to you about how you did it on your own. I'll tell you this though, it will take you, if you did this on your own, it's going to take you about 4.5 to 5 hours a day. And you can expect to get 1 or 2 listings a month, no more than that. And the reason is the cadence and the management is very important. However, it'll save you $700 a month. All right. So that's really how it works. My webinar jam just told me I'm going to be kicked out. We are all going to be kicked out in 15 minutes. So I'm going to wrap up. I really have nothing else to go over. Other than pre-foreclosures are growing, you can take your territory if you want. It's month to month. I've never been a believer in long-term contracts. I've never been a believer in long-term contracts. If people's stuff is working, then they'll stay, and if it's not working, you have the right to leave. All right. So, what questions do y'all have for me? Or and I'll stay on for another couple of minutes, and then we'll hop off. Sure, James, I can post my email address. Will it get a closing in the first month signed up for us? Monica, that is a freaking great question. So, James, I just posted it in the group chat. You should probably be able to see it. You'll have signed deals in your first month. Will they close in a month? I don't know. It really depends on your market, right? It really, really depends on your market. Jenny, you can Google DP2 compliance and we can talk about that. Are there a minimum number of months that we are locked in at the $700 a month? I'm not sure I understand that question, Dwayne. Book a time with me. But you're locked in at $700 a month as long as you stay a client with us. So you're not gonna get all of a sudden upgraded to a higher cost. But to the question about KV Core, we can integrate with KV Core. If you have KV Core, if you have Command, there's a lot of CRMs out there. If you have those CRMs, our systems can integrate with your CRMs. All right. So yes, our systems can integrate with your CRM, whatever that CRM is. So yeah, you can get deals done in your first month. If you have investors, those investors can get deals done, right? So you will have deals in your first month. But will it be signed and closed in your first month? I don't know. What's your market look like? How about Lofty? Lofty can, really, as long as you have a Zapier account, we can connect to your systems. Okay. And we only step in when the opt-in is. Yes, that's correct, Jason. That's correct. Yeah. So whoever said, can I get the steps? Sure you can. Book a time with me and I'll happily give them to you. All right, so I just got the 1 minute warning from Webinar Jam. So will not. So Margaret, just go ahead and email me. Go ahead and email me. There's a my email address is here. So go ahead and email me. By the way, everybody, let's try to get you all in before the 15th of November because I'm supposed to be on a plane on the 15th. So let's try to get you in after the yes, refer to it. Correct. That's correct. And Javier, just book a time with me. And since there's no times left, email me and we'll find a time that works. All right. So George, email me. We'll find a time that works. Okay. Thanks, everybody. You all have my email now. It's been dropped in the chat. It's also the very top of this chat. You'll see it. Margaret, look in the chat. Or here, I'll reply privately. I'll reply to you, Margaret, so you have it. There it is. All right. You're welcome, everybody. All right. So we're at the 30-second warning. So I'm going to, instead of Webinar Jam kicking us out, I'm going to kick us all out. So anyone with questions, email me. Let's get on a call. We'll find a time to talk. I can even, if you're open to it, I can even talk on Saturday. I'll avoid going surfing, and I'll happily talk to you. All right, everybody, listen, have a wonderful day. I'm sad that you only saw one of my cats, but if we have another call, you'll see the rest. Take care. Bye.